My name is Caroline Field. I am 14 years old. Today is October 1st, and I'm speaking with Diane Field, who is my grandmother. We are recording this interview in Springfield, Missouri. Tell me a favorite memory of me.
For you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, Caroline. I remember when you were born, and I remember bringing the boom box, or whatever you call that thing, to the hospital because I loved the words of My Sweet Caroline. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, they really do kind of fit, because it talks about looking forward to, in the spring and so on, and here you were. But I just remember walking in and this beautiful little girl.
Can you tell me about one of the most difficult moments in your life?
Yes, on October the 18th, 2010, my husband became ill, and we didn't know what was wrong. So we took Pops to the hospital, and 3 days later, they told us that he had encephalitis and that he would die. It is now 9 years later, and 2 days ago we celebrated his 80th birthday, and he's alive and kicking.
What advice would you give your teenage self?
To become aware of how it's really easy to be selfish and really easy to put self first. And that the scripture that says it's better to give than receive is totally true. Not only is it better for the other person when you give, but it's also better for you inside. It changes and it helps the person grow out of selfishness to give.
Share with me the story about how you and Pops met.
Well, I was working here in town, and he was practicing law, and I went to church with a man named Larry Askinosi. And one time Larry said to me, I have this really neat young lawyer that I'd like you to meet. So I said, okay. And so we met for coffee with Larry Askinosi. And we met for coffee at what was the Colonial Hotel at the time, across from the Woodruff building where Tom's law practice was. And we met for coffee, and that's how we met. And then when they tore the Colonial Hotel down, they did downtown, Pops went and got the bricks from the Colonial Hotel and built that little pathway out there for me. Those bricks are from the hotel that we met.
Wow, that's awesome.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
What about your honeymoon?
In that winter, he wanted us to go. His parents lived in Denver, and he liked to ski. I had never snow skied. So that winter, we went out to snow ski. That was going to be the second honeymoon. We went out there, and so he was a really good skier, and I didn't know how to. So I got all my winter stuff on, and I went to take a lesson, and he went up the mountain with some other people. So we would meet for lunch. Well, I was terrible. I hated it. I was so cold, and I was so miserable. But I didn't want to tell him, because he was so excited for me to learn to ski. So we meet for lunch, and I'd say, well, yes, I'm doing pretty well and all this. And then finally, I quit. I think for a couple of days I didn't even tell him. I was just, well, yeah, I'm doing pretty good, but I just couldn't do it. I was miserable.
How did you know that Pops was the one?
When I first met him at the Colonial Hotel, and I really think I remember getting almost weak-kneed,
Mm-hmm.
almost like my heart really did pound,
Mm-hmm.
and I really did, and I realized that when I wasn't with him, I missed him a lot. So that's kind of how I knew. Mm-hmm. And you part of you just thinks, well, this is a big step,
Mm-hmm.
but that's how I knew.